All right, students, welcome to lesson video for today's async day. So the purposes of this video is to go over those 3 questions I told you to skip yesterday because we were saving them for today. But I'm not going to just throw those problems at you. I would like you to use this video as a way to guide you and work your way through. Now, of course, if you work on those 3 independently and feel pretty comfortable and understand it, you do not have to watch this video, but what I would recommend is making sure that you confirm near the end of the video the answer key, or look in OneNote because it is available in there, to make sure that you have all the work, the methods, and obviously the answer is correct. Okay, so with that being said, I'm going to direct your attention to my screen. And you can see I am in Schoology in the Wednesday folder. You should have homework number 7 out. Now, I assigned 1 through 10 yesterday, and we will do a full check of this tomorrow. That's Thursday. So 1 through 10 is still your job to do. And there are some higher level questions, especially 9 and 10. I expect to get some questions over those during class, and we'll review them, but try your best. Well, we are going to do 11, 12, and 13 in this video, okay? So that is your async work, 11, 12, and 13. So take this document out. I have it in front of me right here in OneNote. It's called homework number 7, extended response, right here at the bottom, okay? And in this video, I'm going to write on this, add all the notes, and it should be available for you at the end of the video to look at. All right, let's get rocking, okay? So story problems are application problems. They allow us to apply the operations that we're supposed to know. Okay, you know multiplication, division, addition, subtraction, and we're going to bring those facts together to figure out, okay, what operation do I have to do using the situation that's presented? Okay, and that's always the hardest part. What operation? And after that, it's just the core skills that we've been practicing every day. So let's check out this first situation. It says, during a drought, a river's height decreases by 35 inch every day. What is the change in the river's height after 7 days? Show work to support your answer. Always show work, but let's check out ways that we can break this down. First thing, I notice that there are 2 important numbers, so I'm going to circle them. I like to do a little bit of drawing on it. There's a strategy that we will discuss in class at some point where it kind of helps you with some of these, okay? But for our start here, I'm going to circle the key numbers, and then I'm going to underline key action words that tell me what I'm supposed to do. So I see things like decreases by, every day, each day. Those are keywords for an operation that I'll explain. And what is the change in the river's height after 7 days? So the keywords that I just underlined is going to be all the clues that I need to find the operation and solve this down. The word decreases usually means subtraction, but I notice it's attached to 35 inches every day. So decreases by 35 inch, that's a negative. It's telling us that we are decreasing by negative 0.35 every day. Each, okay, usually means multiplication, and because we have 7 days it's happening, it does make sense that we have to multiply those 2 numbers together. So if I take 7 multiplied by negative 0.35, it's going to tell us how much, okay, or how many inches it decreases by after those 7 days. And from there, once the setup is done, we just got to punch out the multiplication. So what I'm going to go ahead and do is let this video roll for about 3 seconds, and then all of a sudden you should see the answer magically pop up, and I'll break it down. All right, students, I'm back, and in front of you, you should see the actual full work and answer. So the key things here is that I stack negative 0.35 up top because it has the most digits, multiplied by 7 below. And since there were 2 decimal places, the 3 and the 5, I moved the decimal over twice, making it 2.45, but keeping track that a negative times a positive is negative. And then, don't forget, we should always do an answer statement. And all an answer statement is answering the question it asks you. So it says, what is the change in the river's height after 7 days? Well, my answer is the river changes negative 2.45 inches. And bam, we got it. So this is a great question because it brings it all together. There's a lot of work in thinking about it, but when you actually see the operation created, the rest is very very smooth. Okay, so take a moment to look at this and pause this video as needed, but let's move on to the second one. And this question, okay, is going to be a mixture of a few types of numbers. Okay, so let's scroll here. For number 12, it says there are 15 people in a room. Each person ate 2/3 of a pizza. How many pizzas were there in the room? Okay, let's start with 15 and 2/3 being circled because I know I got to go ahead and use those numbers. It asks us how many pizzas were there in the room. I'm going to kind of underline that to keep track. Okay, action words that I see. Well, each person ate 2/3 of a pizza. Each usually means multiplication, and I think in this case it does make sense that we have 15 people, each eats 2/3, so if I multiply those it should give me a total number of pizzas. Kind of think of this way, if each person ate 2 pizzas, like a nice whole estimated number, well, 15 people would have 30 pizzas. You did 15 times 2. So regardless of the number, 2/3, we can use multiplication here. So 15 times 2/3, okay? And after this, all we have to do is multiply it out and do the actual operation. So in this video, I'm going to go ahead and pause it yourself and try it on your own, and then in about 3-4 seconds, the answer should pop up. And bam! Answer key should be up there. So this is a multiplication problem with fractions and whole numbers or integers, so very standard, but don't forget about the cross simplification, which you see I did in green there. 15 and 3 both have 3 as a factor. 3 into 3 is 1, 3 into 15 is 5. Don't forget to go ahead and do your answer statement. It asks a question, how many pizzas were in the room? There were 10 pizzas. I answered it. Everything looks pretty solid. So take a moment to pause this video as needed. That was a very straightforward problem, but the next one is probably the more extensive one, and we want to spend a little bit of time on that. So pause it if needed, but I'm going to go ahead and scroll down and look at this next one. All right. It says, a gallon of gasoline costs $2.96. Your car has a 25-gallon gas tank and can travel 28.8 miles on each gallon of gasoline. Find the cost of filling your gas tank if it is already 3/8 full. Ooh, we got decimals, we got fractions, we got a whole bunch of stuff. So let's go ahead and circle our key numbers to make sure that we have an idea of what we can use. Okay, I'm starting with A and then we'll move on to B, but it says, okay, we need to find the cost of filling the gas tank if it's already 3/8 full. So in this case, we got to use a little bit of logic. Okay, if the car already has 3/8 of a tank, that means we only have to fill the rest of the tank. So I'm going to put it right here. We are going to fill 5/8 of a tank because remember, 1/1, or 8/8 in this case, okay, is a full whole number. Okay, so if 3/8 is full, we only have to fill out the empty part, which is 5/8, and that's key. That's the first thing. Okay, when we want to find the cost, we definitely have to figure out. It says the gallon of gasoline costs $2.96, so we need to know how many gallons there are. So to set this up, okay, we need to find out 5/8 of 25 gallons and then multiply it by the cost. So setting it up, I'm thinking, okay, if I take 5/8 and multiply it by 25 gallons, that's going to tell me how many gallons we have to fill. And then to get after that, we can multiply it by the cost, $2.96, and that will give me the overall cost. Look at that fancy looking equation. So there's a lot of parts to this, and even the pre-thinking of 3/8 full means 5/8 that we got to fill, okay, takes a little bit higher order thinking. So take a moment to pause here as needed, and I'm going to let the video roll, but what you should see is the answer key pop up pretty magically, because after this, it's just a straightforward multiplication of decimals, fractions, all of it. So take your time, organize your work. I'm actually going to do the work right down here so you can see it all well organized. All right, students, you see the answer key. Now, one thing about this problem is that The setup, 5/8 times 25 times 296, okay, I just previously explained, is not too bad. But it's the scratch work that requires you to be hyper organized and super, super neat about your work, or you'll lose track of things, okay? If you notice on mine, I used order of operations to do the fraction math first. Then I converted 125/8 to a decimal, which is 15.625. I converted it by dividing it out. Then I multiplied by 296, 2.96, and that's a really lengthy multiplication of decimals. So the key thing here is that it is definitely frustrating math, but it takes organization, diligence, and perseverance to work through this. But if you look at it, it came out to be a very smooth $46.25. That's a number that seems to make sense, okay? So check out that work, double check your work. Staying neat and organized is going to help you, especially when lining up decimals and we're dealing with a 5-digit number multiplied by a 3-digit number, okay? So with that being said, I'm going to go ahead and scroll to the second question because there are 2 parts to this, and I'm going to go ahead and move that scratch work a little bit down if my tablet will cooperate. There we go, and give ourselves a little bit of space. So I'm going to do part B over here on the right side. It says, you take a trip of length 705.6 miles. How much money do you spend? Okay, so we have 705.6 miles. Okay, now there was a number up here that we didn't use yet, and that's probably going to be key to this example. If we take 705.6 mile trip, and each tank of gas can take us 28.8 miles, we can divide it into it to figure out how many gallons we need. Okay? Once we figure out the number of gallons, same as we did in the previous problem, we're going to go ahead and multiply by $2.96. So to set this up, we're looking at 705.6. and we're going to divide it by 28.8. That definitely looks like a bunch of ugly numbers, so we'll probably have to be very controlled with our scratch work. And then, okay, we are going to multiply it by that $2.96 again. So the setup is good. Now we just got to go through and ensure that our scratch math and our organization of the actual operations is set. So take a moment to try that on your own. I am going to go ahead and let the video roll, and then you'll see the answer key pop up once again like usual, okay? All right, students, so you should see the answer key pop up, and if you did everything correctly, you spent $72.52. Now, the main things you want to get from this problem is that A, figuring out the operation is key, and secondly, these are very frustrating high-level questions. So for some of you that have been doing really well on the main operation, this is a good challenge question because it takes extreme organization and neatness and diligence in working through the scratch math, like right here and right here. You can see these are not very short problems, so it takes carefulness, it takes neatness, it takes a lot of diligence on your part to work through those without making mistakes and taking your time, okay? Even though you see the answer key pop up with all my work, even when I'm doing it, I take my time, I slow my pace, and really make sure that the numbers that I'm doing make sense. I do a lot of scratch math over here. You can see my scratch math. It's still organized. It's not all over the place, so I can keep track of everything. But that's basically the gist of this. Number 13 is a high-level question, and if you felt pretty comfortable with it, you're doing pretty well. But the main questions on this, even though we only did 3 and it took us a little bit of time to progress through them, number 11 and 12 you should be fairly comfortable with, and then 13 would be quite the challenge. It'd be something that I would put as maybe a bonus or something like that. But if need to, let me go ahead and switch screens. If need to, review this video as needed. You need to have 11, 12, and 13 finished to show that you worked through the async work today, but also during live class the next session we will go over it, correct it, and answer any questions that you may have. With that being said, thank you for watching. Enjoy the rest of your day.